Robert Reich was in the Clinton administration and became famous for a lot of his socialist tendencies. He's now come out with, well, it's almost full blown communism, saying that the government ought to investigate and arrest people like, well, Elon Musk if they allow free speech on X. Holy moly. No more First Amendment, Mr. Reich? Claire Lopez, there's a familiar voice of intellect around the Democrats these days at the highest level. Apparently, he is back from the days of the Clinton regime. I'm talking about Robert Reich, who is literally advising the Harris-Walz campaign on the thing we keep hearing about, equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity. Out of deference to the gentleman, this is an old picture from like 30 years ago that he put out. Don't let that kind face fool you. This guy is at least a socialist, at least. And now, in addition to his equality of outcome manifesto, he's talking about censorship on a scale that the United States has never experienced, except for maybe during the Manhattan Project, where anyone that knew about the bomb being built couldn't talk about it. And there was good reason, because it was going to end the war and it was the most powerful weapon man had ever built, blah, blah, blah. But we've never done anything like this. And now Robert Reich seems to be approving what's going on in Brazil, and that X can be restricted and there needs to be oversight. Is this like the nightmare that's back from the dead?
Well, I would begin by saying I think I would hesitate to use intellect and Robert Reich's name in the same sentence.
He's written a lot of books.
Well, okay. What books? Maybe this one, perhaps. And this is the Communist Manifesto, of course, written in or at least published in 1848 by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. And I would turn to a page in the middle of this slim monograph, and I would look at the 10 objectives for the imposition, the establishment of communism in a society, in a country. And I would move to look at number 6. Let's go to number 6. Centralization of the means of communication in the hands of the state. That kind of, to me, lines up right there.
Literally spot on. Let me read you the quote that Robert Reich said in regards to X, and specifically its owner, Elon Musk. He said, regulators around the world should threaten Musk with arrest if he doesn't stop disseminating lies and hate on X. In other words, somebody, maybe Robert, in his infinite wisdom, gets to decide what is truth and what is not. And if you're disseminating untruth, you go to jail. In other words, no First Amendment anymore. Am I reading that correctly?
You are reading that exactly correctly. And we are seeing these communists, there's no other word for it, communist Marxist, forces trying to control free speech in places that, unfortunately, unlike the United States, places that do not have a First Amendment, like Brazil, like Britain, where they're locking up grandmothers for memes and posts on social media.
Literally true.
Yes. Yes, that's what I mean. Jail. Literally. Yeah. It's coming here too, or at least it's attempting to under the Harris-Walz presidential campaign. But I would go back to something you said in the beginning there, Barry, and that was about Robert Reich's commitment, as is the commitment of Harris herself, to equitable outcomes, not equality of opportunity, as you said, which has always been the ideal here in the United States, but equality, equity in outcome. And Kamala Harris has said in a number of speeches and statements that, well, we don't all start out in the same place. And so some people need a little more help to get to the same place in the end. Okay. Well, obviously that doesn't work. I stand 5'6", and no amount of input is ever going to make me a starting forward in the National Basketball League. But what that is reminiscent of, her statement, is nothing more than the communist Lenin's communist prescription for society, from each according to his ability, to each according to his need.
Well said. And we're on the road to that unless things go the other way in November.